Very good afternoon, students. This is a short video on the cartilage. Okay, cartilage are the part of the skeletal system, and that's the reason why I have put this video under the heading of the skeletal system. So I pass to the cartilage. Okay, I will be little faster. Okay, cartilage and bones, that means bones which we have already learned, and the cartilages, they form the skeletal system. That means if you say that it is the only skeletal system which forms the I mean, see, it is only the bones which form the skeletal system will not be correct. It is also contributed by the cartilages. Okay. So the cartilages are considered as specialized connective tissue. When I was teaching you the bone, I must have told you that bones are also considered as specialized connective tissue. So both bone and cartilages, they are specialized connective tissue. Just to classify for any tissue to be called as connective tissue, it should have three major components. And which are these three basic components for a particular tissue to become a connective tissue? Number one, there should be cells of the connective tissue. Number two, there should be fibers. The fibers may be of any type, collagen, elastic, or reticular. And then all these two, the cells and fibers, should be embedded in the ground substance. So these are the three basic components for any tissue to classify as connective. So what I was saying that the both bone and cartilage are considered as specialized connective tissue because they also contain the three different components of a connective tissue. Okay. So what are these components in cartilage? In cartilage, cell is called as chondrocyte. Okay, the cell which is present in a cartilage, it is called as chondrocyte. In case of the bone, we have learned that this was called as osteocyte in a bone. Okay. Now the second component of cartilage is fibers, and fibers in cartilage, okay, they are different. In some cartilage it is collagen fibers, in other cartilage, say for elastic cartilage, it is the elastic fibers which are embedded in the ground substance. And then lastly, the third component of an cartilage is the ground substance, which is sometimes also called as matrix, and this is made up of chemicals like chondroitin sulfate and the protein. Okay, the chondroitin, just let me remove this. Okay, chondroitin sulfate, which is bound to that of the protein. Okay, so these are the three components of the cartilage. Now I am passing to the next slide. Now, we come to the classification of cartilage. In our body, we get three different types of the cartilages. Okay, these three types of cartilages are present in adults. Okay, we are not talking at present of the, I mean to say, fetus. Okay, or newborn. Okay, because there it is different, a little different. Okay, three types of cartilage are found into the adult. Number one, which is mostly, I mean to say, frequently found, is the hyaline cartilage. Number two is fibrocartilage, and number three is the elastic cartilage. You can change the order. It may be hyaline cartilage, then elastic cartilage, and lastly it may be the fibrocartilage. Now these cartilages, they differ from each other. Why there are three difference? Because they are different from each other, though all the three they component the three, I mean say, all the three cartilage, they consist of the three different components: cell, chondrocyte, fibers, and ground substance. But then it is the component of fibers which differs from cartilage to cartilage. Now this cartilage, as I said, they differ from each other because of three types of fibers, because of the different types, not three, sorry, because of the different types of fibers and the number of cell they contain. That means the number of chondrocyte or cell, it may be more or it may be less in particular cartilage. So cartilage, they will be different from each other because of two reasons: one, the type of the fibers they contain, and the number of the cells, chondrocyte, less or more. At this stage, you should note that cartilage are avascular. That means there is no blood supply to cartilage. They get their nutrition and the gaseous exchange takes place from the osmosis from the surrounding areas. And the cartilage are also not supplied by nerves. That means they are insensitive to pain. And that is the reason which I have told you during joints lectures, that they are covered by the articular area, or the ends of long bones which forms the joint is covered by the articular cartilages, because they are insensitive to pain. Now, let us come to the first kind of cartilage, what is called as the hyaline cartilage. Now, the hyaline cartilage, okay, as I said that it is the frequently found in our body, and when there is a fetus or the newborn, most of our long bones, okay, or some other bones, they are made up of cartilage. That means the model of our bones, it is to begin with at many places is only made up of cartilage. This cartilage is then gradually replaced by the bone. So the bone, whatsoever bone we get, they are first cartilage, okay, and they are hyaline in nature, okay. So a hyaline cartilage in living condition looks the bluish white, as it is shown in this diagram where I am moving my pointer. This is in this way, this is a bone, okay. In a fetal age, this is a bone, or in newborn, which is completely made up of the cartilage, especially in fetus. And this is the hyaline cartilage, which look the bluish white in color, okay. Now, all the long bones, as I said, in the fetus to begin with, they are made up of the hyaline cartilage, and then these various steps are shown for there how this hyaline cartilage changes into the bone. This is not the topic, so I am just passing from this slide to the next slide of the hyaline cartilage. Now, let us see the characteristic of the hyaline cartilage. In adults, okay, in adults, the hyaline cartilage is found as articular cartilage. When I was teaching you a joint, I said that the ends of the long bones which are involved in the formation of the synovial joint, their ends are covered by the articular cartilage, which is hyaline in nature. Similarly, our costal cartilages, that means the ends of our rib which articulates with the sternum or the breastbone in the midline, they are also cartilaginous and they are hyaline cartilage. In trachea and bronchi, okay, there is presence of that is the windpipe which carries the air to the lung alveoli, that also consists of the hyaline cartilage. Just your tip of your nose, just feel your tip of the nose and then move it, and you can see that in your nose there is presence of the cartilage, which is the hyaline cartilage. In the larynx, or this view box in the neck here where I am putting my finger, it is also made up of the hyaline cartilage, where vocal cords are there in the larynx, okay. So that is skeleton of the larynx is also hyaline in nature. Now, if you will see a hyaline cartilage, it is covered by a fibrous membrane. In similar way, where the bone was covered by a fibrous membrane which was called as perichondrium, in the case of cartilage, it is called as perichondrium. Sorry, I said that bone is covered by periosteum and cartilage is covered by perichondrium. Okay, so a membranous covering is always there in the cartilage, and that is the perichondrium, just like bone where the periosteum was present. Now, hyaline cartilage present at the ends of the bone is not covered by perichondrium. This is the only exception where hyaline cartilage is not covered by perichondrium. It is at the end of the bones, long bones, where it is forming articular cartilage. There is no perichondrium. At the other places, it is always covered by the peri. So this is an exception which you should remember. Okay, that is the articular cartilage or divide of the perichondrium. Okay. Right. So in this diagram, you can see that articular cartilage covering to the acetabular fossa of the hip bone and the head of the femur, forming the hip joint here. Now this is the diagram which shows that this is the histological structure of the hyaline cartilage, which I will show you again. Okay. Now, coming to the second kind of the cartilage, and this second kind of the cartilage is the elastic cartilage, okay, elastic. Now, the name itself suggests that this cartilage is elastic in nature, okay, and it is found in the external ear, okay, or the pinna of ear. See that I am touching my external ear. You just fold your external ear, you can bend it very easily without any pain, okay, you can bend it, and when you will release, okay, it will come to the normal position. That means it possesses the elasticity. It is not hard like bone, it is just only firm, and this is because there is no salt deposition takes place into the cartilaginous tissue where it was the salt were deposited in the bony tissue, okay. So it is found in the external ear, elastic cartilage. Then it is found in epiglottis. You must be knowing that epiglottis is a flap-like structure which is at the inlet of the larynx, and then in the auditory tube. You may not be knowing where is the auditory tube. Just remember this name, okay? This is a tube which connects your oropharynx, okay, or nasopharynx, junction of oropharynx and nasopharynx with that of the middle ear cavity, okay. So these are few structures in our body which are made up of the elastic cartilage, and they possess elasticity. This also has three components. As far as I said that since it is a specialized connective tissue cartilage, it has to have the three components. Cells are again the same as we have seen in case of the hyaline cartilage, and they are here also called as chondrocyte. And fibers are different. I forgot to mention that the fibers in the hyaline cartilage, they are the I mean to say collagen fibers. They are the fine collagen fibers in case. But here in elastic cartilage, the fibers are the elastic fibers. Okay. So remember this basic difference between hyaline cartilage and elastic cartilage is that in the hyaline cartilage, fibers which are embedded in the ground substance, they are collagen in nature. But in case of this elastic cartilage, they are elastic fibers. See here, these cells which are seen, this is the perichondrium of the elastic cartilage, membranous covering outside, and then these are the cells. These cells are present in a space called as lacunae, and they are chondrocyte, and these are the fibers, these lines which are running in between these cells which are branching and anastomosing, they are the elastic fibers embedded in the ground substance. And ground substance is not seen because it is forming a background jelly like structure in which cells and fibers they are embedded. So the third component is the ground substance, because again here it is made up of the chondroitin sulfate and the proteins, okay. Now in case of the elastic cartilage, you can see here the number of cells are more, they are so closely placed, okay, cells, and their number is more as compared to hyaline which were away from each other. So number of chondrocytes are less in hyaline, but they are more in elastic cartilage. The fibers which are embedded in the ground substance, as I said, they are elastic and freely branching in nature. The outer surface of cartilage here, as I said, is covered by the membranous structure where I am moving my pointer. It is the perichondrium. Okay, so this is about the elastic cartilage. Now, let us come to the third type of cartilage, which is called as the fibrocartilage in our body. And where it is found? It is found mainly here in the midline. See here, this is the part of the vertebral column where are the two vertebrae are shown. Okay, and in between the vertebrae, they are joined by each other by this joint, what is called as the intervertebral joint. And this material which forms the intervertebral joint is mainly made up of the fibrocartilage, okay. So the fibrocartilage is made up of mainly the collagen fibers, bundles of the collagen, and is very strong. That's why it is called as the fibrocartilage, okay. Let us see the characteristic of the fibrocartilage. The fibrocartilage is present in pubic symphysis. It is joined between the two bone in midline anteriorly. Then this I have already told you in the intervertebral disc, okay. And then in the interarticular disc, when I was teaching you the joint, I told you that one of the characteristic in some of the synovial joint is that the joint cavity is divided into the two compartments with the help of an articular disc, which is also made up of fibrocartilage. And at certain places in some joint, the articular cartilage, which was otherwise hyaline everywhere, is also fibrocartilage. Now, this fibrocartilage mainly consists of the bundle of collagen fibers. Histological picture see in the other diagram where I am moving my pointer. You will see that these are the bundle of the collagen strong fibers running parallel to each other, and there is in between there are some cells are seen. I have drawn more cells, but there are few cells are there here which are surrounded by the minimal amount of the ground substance. Okay, so but predominant structure which is present in fibrocartilage is the bundle of collagen fibers. Okay, another very important differentiation with the other cartilage is that this fibrocartilage is not covered by the perichondrium. Both hyaline and elastic, their surface is covered by perichondrium, that is fibrous membrane and cellular structure, but here in fibrocartilage there is no perichondrium. There is no perichondrium. Let's come to that at the last slide where I will show you the differentiation, summary of the differentiation between the three different types of the cartilages. Let us see, this is the histological differentiation. As I said that this is the hyaline cartilage, perichondrium is here also. See in the second diagram, elastic cartilage and the perichondrium is here also. So they are same as far as perichondrium is concerned. But then you will see that number of chondrocyte or cell is much less as compared to the elastic cartilage. Okay, and then you will see that here you are not able to see the I would say fibers which are collagen in hyaline cartilage, because the refractive index of the ground substance in which these fibers hyaline, I would say the collagen fibers are embedded, they have the same refractive index, so we cannot differentiate. But here in case of elastic fibers, the fibers are easily visible with the spatial stand, and that's why you can see the fibers, cells and the ground substance in which they are embedded. In the third kind of the histological structure, which is of fibrocartilage, predominance is of the bundles of the collagen fibers in which few chondrocytes surrounded by the minimal amount of the ground substance are seen. Now this completes the I would say the general anatomy of cartilage. We will learn in much great detail about this cartilage when we will go to the histology. Thank you very much for watching this slide.